I've got a story to tell. That happened last Saturday, so the 20th of August 2022, and it's kind of been on my mind since then. Uh, as I'm recording this part, by the way, it's the 23rd, so it's been on my mind for 3 days. But first, a tiny little joke as an introduction for context.
Tell me you're German without telling me you're German.
This empty bottle here is worth 25 cents. We call that Pfand. And now the joke is over. Let's get to the story. Well, before I actually get into the story, I should stop moving my hands because it messes with the lining. So we actually got several types of those bottles. So we've got cans and bottles. They're both each 25 cents, and it actually should ensure that people don't just throw them in the wrong garbage or even in nature. That would suck because it's plastic and aluminium, and that never will rot away in 1,000 years. So we say, hey, when you buy your drink, you gotta pay 25 cents extra, and you get those 25 cents back if you throw it in a machine at our store or at whatever store. You can return those bottles and cans almost everywhere. Then we also have glass bottles, and those are about, I think, 8 cents. We also got some special bottles with special stuff. Those are a little bit more expensive. I'm sorry if that was loud. And yeah, so those are the basics you should know before I actually get into the story. On Saturday, as I told you before, I was in Cologne, and I was there for just random sightseeing. Went to a chocolate museum that I have been to about 20 years ago with my grandparents, and I just wanted to check it out again. And I went to a sports museum that focused a lot on Olympics, which was really interesting and fun. And I went on a tour bus that drove around all kind of sites in that town. And then when I was done with most of the sightseeing I wanted to do, I just took a walk around town, looking at one store and another, doing a little bit of window shopping, if you want to. Well, I also got some stuff in one or the other store. Like, I got a new Funko at a GameStop and a new ring at Claire's, and looking back, I almost feel a little bit bad. Not in a buyer remorse kind of sense, but more in a, wow, I have this money that I so freely spent, and then there were a lot of homeless people in the corners and in front of the dome and on the stairs in front of a cathedral and everywhere. And now back to the stuff about the bottles I told you. When I grabbed some lunch at some food store, I also grabbed a drink, and it came in one of those bottles. And when I was finished with it, I saw a guy walking around collecting them, and because I didn't want to carry it around with me, even though it wasn't that heavy, I mean, it's what? A few grams, maybe. I don't know. I've never put them on a scale and tested how much they actually weigh. Anyways, so I gave that bottle to the guy, and he smiled at me and said thanks, and the way he was so happy about those 25 cents did something to me. I don't know what, maybe it was something that I've experienced about a month ago. There's also a video coming, maybe referencing that, so yeah. Anyways, the way he was so happy about those 25 cents, and if you go like to a bakery or something, 25 cents is, I don't want to say a lot, but 25 cents is at least one bread roll. And even though they are like whey and stuff, and alone on itself probably not the healthiest choice, but it's food. And there's so much bad in this world, and I don't know. I'm not sure what I really took from that situation. It's just so sad that I live in a world where people are happy about just 25 cents that you gave them. 25 cents. It's not like some I don't know, like, that's maybe just that's like some first world trouble problem, whatever, for me, and I'm like, 25 cents, that's nothing. But I mean, I don't think that way. I always keep my bottles and return them, and it always makes me kind of sad and angry when I see people throw them away. Like, come on. At least, like, don't. If you're outdoors and walk around there, at least don't throw them in the bins. Just please put them next to the bins so people who are dependent on collecting those bottles don't have to go through the degrading task of crawling and sorting through the rubbish of other people just to look for those bottles or cans. Just put them next to the garbage cans, and that's fine. Like, some companies even put little labels on the bottles and cans saying, yo, please put the bottles next to the garbage cans and not into them if you want to throw them away. And I don't know. And with the inflation, like those 25 cents are going to be less worth. And I'm not sure where I'm going with this video. I just wanted to rant a bit and talk about what about that situation and how thankful I am to have a roof over my head and to have 2 screens to look at. I have a 3rd screen over there hooked up to my PlayStation. I can leave the light on, and I have a warm bed. Well, now in summer I wish it was less warm, but like that's first world problems. That's and I wouldn't call myself wealthy, but compared to what I've seen on that Saturday in Cologne, I feel blessed and suddenly put down to earth, like, wow. There's some bad stuff in this world, and I'm not even talking about what's going on in Europe right now, and I'm not talking about climate change or all that stuff. I'm talking about the little problems. If you can call homelessness a little problem. And there's so much debate on whether you should give those homeless people, or beggars if you want to call them that, if you should give them money, because some people suspect, and I think there actually have been cases of organized crime. Look, I have to drink, and I have something to drink. That's also something I'm suddenly really grateful for. And like, it's not even just it's iced tea. Like, it's not even tap water. And even having that is so good. And it's not even like I was being like kind of, maybe I was a little bit, but oh, I am currently, because of my job situation, doing a tiny bit better than I had before financially. Nothing about my income changed, but I got a handful of money, because I saved a lot of leave days and didn't use them when I changed from my short-term employment to an actual employment at the company I'm working at. And yes, maybe I have been a tiny bit reckless with my spendings, but I wanted to have something good for myself for once, and not just look that I get all my bills paid and food. So I thought, hey, I want to live. And now I think some people don't have that luxury, and it makes me actually kind of sad. Like, of course, we have a lot of big problems in the world, but what is it worth if we can't even solve the little problems? Put a stop on high rents. Like, some landlords would rather leave their flat empty and not earn anything off them than lowering the rent and having someone live in them. And that's bullshit if you ask me. Anyways, I think I've been talking way too long and way too much and maybe a little bit nonsense at a time, or if not nonsense, I was kind of rambly and maybe I didn't make sense. I just wanted to let out some words and feelings. Like, I keep thinking about that moment where I gave that bottle, those 25 cents to that guy, and he was so happy and grateful, and he smiled at me and said thanks, and I don't know. So yeah, what do you think about those situations like that? Have you experienced something like that too? Let me know in the comments below. Why I'm not as energetic as I'm not normally am. Well, first of all, this is not a topic to be energetic about. Second of all, I need to figure out the lightning on my laptop so I can record more stuff in this setting right here, because I kind of like it for a quick little video. Well, yeah, the timer already says about 16 minutes. It's not, that's definitely not quick. It was really rambly, and except for the intro, this whole stuff will be uncut, or mostly uncut. So yeah, excuse me the bad lightning at times. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and until I figured out what I can upload next, watch my other stuff.